Okay, so I'm basically gonna teach you the following things in this order. I'm gonna try to go high-low on you, then I'm gonna try to do low throw mix-ups on you. I'm gonna try to use armor against you, and then I'm gonna try and use zoning against you. These are the 4 major hurdles of any player coming into fighting games in general, especially if you haven't dealt with a lot of classic fighting games in the past. But Skullgirls, every single attribute of a fighting game player or a fighting game character is exaggerated to an extreme degree. This game is hard. It is not easy to deal with these things. So that's what we're gonna find out if you can deal with. Go ahead and start out high and lows. All right, so let's see how this goes.
Gentlemen and ladies, it's showtime!
Your job is to just beat me up. Okay. All right. Good shit. Okay, so you have a couple of good habits, which I'm actually extremely excited about. So you down back a lot. That is something that is often lacking from a lot of beginner level players. Down backing is extremely fundamental in any anime fighter because you can generally react and switch your guard to overhead at any point you need to. There are very few moves in anime fighters that are overhead but grounded, so you can wait till your opponent is landing on you from a jump and switch your guard to high. Unfortunately, there are overhead moves from when you are standing, but they're all reactable. Squiggly's overhead looks like it's impossible to deal with, but it's actually completely reactable. It is like a third of a second, and human reaction time is more than enough to deal with that. So you should be able to switch your guard from low to high. A couple of things that I noticed that even when you did block low, you didn't push block. So push blocking is an extremely important way to escape a lot of pressure. If you, what am I trying to say? So if you are under a lot of pressure and you successfully block something, you need to, on reaction, and instantly push block so I get further away. How push block works is, and you don't have to fully understand this yet, but you'll get a feel for it the more you play the game. You press 2 punch buttons as soon as you're in block stun, and once you press those 2 punch buttons, I'll go flying away until I hit you with another attack, or at a set distance. So if I go about half a screen distance away, or if I use the multi-hitting move, the second hit of my multi-hitting move hits you, then I'll stop moving backwards. So you can gain a lot of distance, but I can take advantage of that and like still get you trapped under my pressure, but it buys you time. So push blocking is important. Push blocking also unlocks a lot of other defensive options like absolute guard and things like that. I'm not going to talk about those just yet. I'm not going to talk about all the different defensive options you have, but that is something you need to be aware of. So push blocking is extremely important. Good stuff down backing, practice on your reactions to switching to high block. And also focus on push blocking. Push blocking is extremely important. So now I'm going to focus on low throws. Okay, no techs. Nice tech. Oh shit. Good shit. Oh, there was a little bit of lag. Okay. So, in that situation, this is actually a pretty complicated reaction. So much like overhead low, you can't actually tech a grab while you're down backing, so you have to switch your guard. how grab techs work in Skullgirls is you can tech a grab as long as you're allowed to input grab. When you are down backing, you can try this out whenever you want. Hold down back and try to input grab, but grab will never come out. Because of that, you can't tech a grab while down backing. So now lows and throws are a mix-up, much like highs and lows, right? So for characters who don't have a good standing overhead, that's a good standard mix-up. However, grabs scale your combo, so there's like a whole like weird trifecta of rules that come into like factor there. So being able to switch from low to standing block and then tech the grab is important. Again, push block will unlock options that let you deal with grab, like absolute guard and stuff like that. There's also intermediate things like neutral hopping that will help you out, but I'll focus on that as you improve in the game. Generally speaking, you don't want to up back because the low will catch you, but you want to up back so you can avoid the grab. But once you up back successfully, you're able to start a whole new combo of stuff, right? So, or a whole new chain of actions from there. Like you're back in neutral basically. So you want to jump out of that situation because you can't be ground grabbed while you're jumping. Hopefully, I'm not explaining this as best as I possibly could, but like there is a huge rock paper scissors like web here. Rock paper scissors is trivializing it. I don't want to call it that. There's a huge web of actions that happen there, but basically you need to be standing blocking to be able to tech a grab. Teching a grab is tough to do on reaction, but it's still technically possible. So now I'm going to be teaching you about armor. You got this, I believe in you. Okay, so I'm glad you're push blocking now, but this is one of the situations you don't want to push block. So normally players that are already familiar with push blocking, whenever I give them this lecture, this is where they start to struggle. Because you actually don't want to push block the brass. Armor moves are very, very strong, but have a lot of recovery. But there's lots of ways to beat armor moves. So for example, you can sweep, or you can grab me, or you can spend a meter to snap me. If you're not familiar with how to snap, it's quarter circle forward and a medium punch and medium kick, or a heavy punch and heavy kick, depending on what character you're trying to snap out. They're called outtakes in the tutorial if you want to check it out. But they can break armor in the expense of a meter, and sometimes you'll have to do that because there are certain people who have hyper armor and sweeps won't work on them like that. But everyone has a crouching hard kick, and a crouching hard kick will be a sweep that will break armor. On top of that, if you don't push block my brass and just block it, you can press a standing light punch and you'll be able to hit me. And then you can go into a full combo from there. So that's why armor is tough to deal with for beginners, because it goes against their secondary instinct that they develop to push block, to where you have to just respect it and then punish it. Often what will happen is teams will be ran with an armored attack on the point, and then an assist in the back that makes it safe. And that's scary. That is tough to deal with. Having to deal with an armor move that you can't punish, and then on top of that, having to block everything because the assist comes out, and then another armor move comes out on top of that. It's a whole set of stuff that happens, and things can get scary. So as team comps evolve, you'll see armor moves used more and more cases where it's safe. But remember, sweep is your friend, snap is your friend, and in this situation, you don't want to push block. Let's see. And that's not universally true. It's not like you never want to push block against armor moves. It's circumstantially true. But as a general rule, that'll work. What else? Oh yeah, zoning. Alright, let's go. So this is the bane of almost all beginner players. People usually get a grasp on how Skullgirls works. They'll have a combo. They'll have a very bare bones understanding of neutral and maybe even a reset or two. And then they'll die to zoning. Can't block forever. Okay, so that sucks. I know. Nobody wants to deal with that. It is absolutely horrible to have to deal with that. So I'm going to, alright, yeah, I'm gonna finish up the set and explain to you. I'm gonna have to take off my headphones though, so because my headphones are dying and they're making loud noises. But basically, here's the thing. Zoning is really, really tough to deal with because zoning is extremely powerful in this game. One of the best and strongest strategies in this game. So, I'm going to provide a link that talks about Peacock dead zones specifically, because to deal with Peacock, I'll provide it after this match. But I want you to try and at least get one hit on me. Come on, let's go. Can't down back either, because he eventually turns into an overhead. Oh, there we go, we got a double jump. It's tough to deal with. Yeah. So you see, like, how this is a nightmare, right? Like, it is not easy to deal with that kind of stuff. But basically, and like that was bare bones basics Peacock. Like, I am not a good Peacock player. That was just bare bones basics zoning. So can you imagine that was the easiest version you could have dealt with that? So those are the 5 games. We're playing 5 flat games today. So I gave you your 5 games of things. But basically, I'm gonna provide a link in chat about zoning in general. Let's see, where is it? It is now part of the VOD as well. But that link will provide a quick tutorial on how to deal with the Peacock Dead Zone, or how to take advantage of the Peacock Dead Zone, how to take advantage of different parts of the particles. So for example, the item drop, where the item falls from all the way at the top and it can grow into a giant overhead thing. What you can do is you can actually neutral jump, like jump straight up, and you'll avoid the item, and then you can use your second jump to get over it. A couple other things you can do is you can do a dash blocking. Now, dash blocking is tough and not something I normally want to teach just bare-bone basic beginner players. But this is an important tactic. Skullgirls is one of the few games, and I know it's not the only one, but it's one of the few games where you can block while dashing. So if you press 2 punch buttons, light punch and medium punch, at the exact same frame, then what will happen is you'll get a dash input. It is a macro for dashing. You'll start dashing forwards. You cannot use buttons to dash. Well, you better learn. An easy shortcut to that is you can just set it as one of your macros. If you set one of your macros to... Because like in this game, you can set up to 2 macros. So if you set one of your macros to be light punch and medium punch, then you can use that as a dash shortcut. What's really interesting is if you press light punch, medium punch as a dash macro and mash it like twice, then you'll get a jab the second time. So you'll do a dash jab. So you can get a micro dash jab out of it, which is actually really, really, really useful. Then you can't assist. What are you talking about? Press medium, kick, and heavy punch, or vice versa. There are like 2 ways to do pretty much everything in this game. At least 2, maybe 3. So I recommend not relying on your macros to use for assist unless you absolutely have to. I'm sure you're aware. I'm not trying to patronize you. Like, I apologize if it came off that way. But like, there are answers to a lot of concerns or struggles that you might come up with. Long story short, to rewind, like while you're dashing, you can actually hold backwards, like hold back, and you will be blocking the entire time you're dashing. So the best and optimal way to block dash is pressing light punch and medium punch at the exact same frame, which will give you the dash. And then just as you start going forward, start holding back. Don't hold back before then. Just as you start going forward, start holding back. And then for the maximum amount of time throughout your dash, you will get a block. So what will happen is you'll be blocking while you are dashing. So you'll be able to close distance while being defensive. I already mentioned the item drop thing. I already mentioned that there is a dead zone and provided a link for it. Those are the basics to dealing with zoning. There's also just getting used to patterns and finding gaps and things like that.